first time. I've actually never been to Europe, the UK, anything like that. Got some great meetings planned, meeting with former Prime Minister David Cameron, former Prime Minister Liz Truss, Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, some interviews. Speaking at UCL and LBS, talking about macro, meritocracy, and the golden era. President Trump will be inaugurated in about 10 days' time. It's not just a golden era for the United States, I believe it's also a golden era for our allies. And the UK is among our most special allies. So I'm going to talk to students about what are the shared challenges of this special relationship and how we can tackle them together. I'm looking forward to riding in the underground. Like I said, I've never been to the UK, and so we're going to be public transiting it the whole way, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm gonna work for a little bit, see what kind of free stuff they're offering, snack-wise, take advantage, and then we'll see. But so I guess when we get there, it'll be 9 a.m., 10 a.m. We have a lunch meeting, so it'll be good. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, it's pretty fun. So I think there's only 2 Michelin-star Indian restaurants. This is one of those 2. What's it called?
Ramaswamy.
It's called Ramaswamy. Shout out to Vivek Ramaswamy. They don't turn the heat on in here.
No.
So it's actually pretty cool, but we're getting a preview for what's to come in just a little bit. First time taking the train back to the spot, as they say, the hotel, Gavin. The flat, that's right, the flat. Well, it's like the whole boot thing, right? The boot is what, the trunk?
Yeah, what are like the travel zones, you know what I mean? No. Yeah, here we go, we got them. Let's go, check it out, look at that.
Now let's hope we don't get stabbed on the...
I know, that's the fun part, right?
For you.
Right.
That's for Gavin.
They don't believe in AC either in the summer.
They don't?
No.
It's cold, but the weird thing, Gavin, is that it almost feels colder inside because we've just gotten so used to it. There's no insulation, there was no heat inside from the moment we got off the plane. It's pretty much the same temperature. No, not New York. We were just in Orlando. Definitely not Orlando. It throws everybody off in Orlando when it's that cold because you see all the women are wearing Uggs and trench coats, and it's that only time of year they can whip it all out.
Right.
Quarter pounder, right? The quarter pounder doesn't exist here.
Nope.
We're on the metrics of the Royale. And they have fewer ingredients. RFK would approve. Real fries. I think it's just potato, salt, and oil. And there's 19 preservatives, whatever it is in the U.S. We have Starbucks. Remember, we're boycotting the stock, Gavin. We're not boycotting the drink. This is a dirty chai. It was a good deal. First Starbucks ever in the UK. So we're off to McDonald's for a proper meal. We got the American flag sweatshirt. We're gonna go hang out with the king. We're gonna say hi to King Charles. And Elon wants King Charles to dissolve Parliament. So we'll see what happens. Keir Starmer needs to go. There's no question about that. In honor of Roy Kroc, and our first meal is at McDonald's, and our first beverage in London was at Starbucks. So when we got into the train station, I went to some English coffee place, and we had 2 lattes, and I was walking down the stairs, and I tripped, and it fell everywhere. So that was supposed to be our first coffee here. It was supposed to be English coffee, and it was prevented from happening. And so our first coffee was actually Starbucks. We are boycotting the stock at Azoria until they ditch their DEI hiring course. There's 2 types of DEI. There's the performative DEI, Walmart saying the word Latinx, for example, or being part of a corporate survey or Tractor Supply giving money to a drag queen story hour. And that DEI is definitely on its way out. But there's a far more pernicious form of DEI that we call anti-meritocratic DEI at Azoria. And those are hiring quotas, hiring targets, like Best Buy that says that 1 in 3 new corporate salaried hires have to be BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color. And so while the performative DEI, the woke cultural stuff is going away, as the political tides are shifting back to President Trump, the anti-meritocratic stuff, sadly, is still in place. Starbucks needs to recommit to meritocracy, there's no question about it. The golden era is here for the United States, and hopefully a golden era also for our special relationship. We have shared challenges, the UK and the US. Immigration is one. Blob, as they call it over here in the UK, we call it the deep state. But we've got to get to the bottom of it, and I know that President Trump's leadership will benefit both the United States and the United Kingdom.
It's better than McDonald's and
Pretty good.
1 out of 10?
7,
Any
7.5.
difference?
Fries are definitely better. It would be a 10 out of a 10 if Donald Trump served at the drive-thru in Pennsylvania. That was not one of my shared challenges in the UK and the US was public transportation. A little cleaner here, Gavin, although it's hard to find those things. It's probably the third one I've seen all day. I have this podcast with a guy named Zach Kimball. Our first episode was about President Trump's trade policies. And first episode ever, Gavin, it was the 47th most listened to podcast on Apple Podcasts in the political category. 47th! 40, isn't that perfect?
Serendipitous.
It's very good.
What do you think about the little London streets in town?
Pretty cool.
It's like small town vibes in a big town city, right?
It's like Epcot. Well, we had our first proper meal here in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The first meal we actually had was in Victoria at McDonald's. It's better here, by the way.
Far better.
It's far better here. But Kabir, thank you for a lovely meal, for welcoming us to the UK.
My pleasure.
And it was good to have a conversation about where politically the UK is right now.
Absolutely. Really requiring us to get back to basics, and that's, I guess, all about what you're doing with Zoria, and getting back to basics, meritocracy, the most important thing that we've all got to be focusing on at this stage. So I'm so glad you're here, and thank you for coming and seeing me.
And the basics are meritocracy. Absolutely. You hire the best and brightest, you don't apologize.
I guess spark a renaissance in
Right.
terms of innovation, in terms of, people, businesses striving for the very best, based on merit, based on achievement, rather than anything else. So I think your mission is absolutely bang on. Very, very well done.
Well, I appreciate it, Kabir. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you again soon. Thanks.
See you.
So I had a great conversation here my first day in London, and we've talked a lot about the meritocracy ETF. That's really only one of 3 ETFs we're launching. The other one that I'm especially proud of is what we call the Azoria Tesla Convexity Fund. If you believe, as I do, as Kathy Wood does, as all the research shows, as Elon Musk himself does, that the future of Tesla is an autonomous future, that the energy business is growing spectacularly, that Optimus humanoid robots are going to be within reach by the end of this decade, that Tesla is poised for outsized returns. To profit from those outsized returns, options have to be part of your Tesla position. They have to be. For every $100 you have invested in the ETF, $90 is long the same Tesla stock you know and love. And the other $10 is invested across an array of limited loss, asymmetric call options. But this Tesla fund is a unique way. It's the way I'm going to, when the fund launches, move my entire Tesla position. Every penny that I have invested in Tesla will now be in the Tesla Convexity Fund. It's the best way to own Tesla because you own that same stock you know and love, but $10 of every 100 is invested in those asymmetric call options that profit unbelievably by Tesla's continued meteoric rise. So we were trying to figure out what this is. Obviously a Model Y, but we don't have the North American charging standard that we do, the NACS in the US. But this is just a lamp pole, where you've got the car plugged into a 220 lamp pole. And can anybody use this, Gavin?
Anybody.
So just free. So you have your charger in your front or wherever, you plug it in, and then you get this energy to charge the car. This would seem like a better way to support the transition as opposed to endless subsidies for the car purchase itself. Allow people to have easy access to fueling the vehicle as opposed to paying down the vehicle. Just put the energy piece aside. One of the awesome conveniences of having a Tesla is that you go to bed and you've got 10% range, and you wake up and you have 100% range.
Right.
As opposed to in the middle of the day when you're trying to get to work or trying to get to the airport, having to fuel up and having it throw off your entire routine. I take it for granted because now I don't drive a gas car. I wouldn't drive a gas car. The main reason is just the convenience of going home at an empty tank, for lack of a better word, and waking up with full fuel, 300 miles where you need to go. And so the energy argument is one that's a totally separate one, but it is fascinating, the convenience angle. It's just, there's nothing like it.
We have a new translation now in England, a very good one.
And so what was before it, RSV?
No, they use the Jerusalem Bible.
Oh, okay.
Mark has been getting at me to ban Richard Price from saying this because he says heretical.
A reading from the Acts of the Apostles. In those days, Peter opened his mouth and said, "Truly, I understand that God shows no partiality, But in every nation, anyone who fears him and does what is right is acceptable to him. As for the word that he sent to Israel, preaching the good news of peace through Jesus Christ, he is Lord of all. You yourselves know what happened throughout all Judea, beginning from Galilee after the baptism that John proclaimed, how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and with power. He went about doing good and healing all who were oppressed by the devil, for God was with him. The word of the Lord.
Oh, great reading. Go ahead,
Same Starbucks I went to growing up as a kid at 136th Avenue and Sarah 84 in Davie, Florida. Serves up the same coffee as they do here in London, as they do in Turkey, as they do in Hong Kong, as they do in Sao Paulo. And it's a testament to what a great American company can do. And for most of its life, Starbucks was a meritocracy. They hired the best baristas for the job, whatever they looked like, and they didn't apologize for it. And so it was puzzling that in their global impact report in 2023, Starbucks committed to arbitrary racial and ethnic diversity targets at their corporate and retail level. And that has absolutely nothing to do with selling a cup of coffee at a profit and doing right by its employees or shareholders. And so our message to Starbucks is simple: recommit to meritocracy and turn this cherished American company around.